Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm showing you another winter landscape today. I'm so excited. I can't wait for you guys to watch this and paint along with me. So let's jump in and get started. Before we do that, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. It's free and we'll begin now. So I'm working on a 16 by 20 double primed and stretched canvas. I've got a number 30 filbert brush to start. It's a little bit wet, and the following colors: neon rose, light blue violet, sap green, phthalo blue, titanium white, neon orange, and neon yellow. I'll have a list of these colors I'm using below this video in the description box. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just start with my orange and yellow, just picking up a little bit of each color, and I'm just going to start adding it in the middle of the canvas, creating little waves for my sunset. Start creating that beautiful streaky looking sky. Then I'm going to pick up some white and I'm going to start pulling that through, and this is going to give us some softer tones. It'll be nice along with the really bright tones that we have. So it's nice to have a little mixture of both. Okay, I'm going to work it down a little bit here as well. Have some coming down here. Maybe we'll have some water reflecting that sky. Okay, then what I'm going to do is go right into my neon rose, and I'm going to add some of that around the sides. A little bit of white with it, and we'll get some pretty purpley pinky tones. Okay, I'm going to rinse this brush out. Dry it off and go right into my light blue violet. I'm going to come along the sides of the canvas and work that in to the other colors. We're not trying to be neat and tidy right now. We're just applying color. So just go with it and have fun. Okay, I'll add the last little bit of my blue violet down here at the bottom. I'm going to rinse my brush out again. And then I'm just going to take my clean brush and I'm going to sweep sweeping out those colors a little bit. And we'll gently just come along the side and the bottom and just pull. That way it'll look more reflective in the water. And then go the other way, letting those colors that we added, all of them just pull into one another. I'm going to add a little bit of phthalo blue and a little bit of white. I'm going to add some of that along the side here, the top corners. I'm gonna wash that brush out, and then I'm gonna go over to one of my dry mop brushes. I've got this 1-inch one here, and all I'm gonna do is just very lightly soften in little circles. It'll soften some of those streakier looks. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of white on this brush. And mix a little bit of that in here and there. I'm going to bring it in with some of the other colors that I happen to be picking up along the way. Bring that in, center of our sky, and let that create some sort of muddy tones. And that's going to give us some nice balance in this painting with all this color. I'm going to set that brush aside. I'm going to dry this off just a little bit and then come in with our next step. Okay, I'm going to be using a number 8 filbert brush now. I'm going to be applying a little bit of white and a little bit of blue violet inside these clouds. Look at how they just come to life. Gives it such a pretty powdery blue look. I'm really just dabbing it on, and a gentle little wiggle and scumble around. And you can layer over your lighter areas with this, and that'll give you such an interesting look to your sky. So don't be afraid of over mixing and making muddy tones in your paintings. You really do need them. They're important to have in a painting, unless you're working on something that you really don't want brown in. But for sunsets and sunrises, it's nice to have your oranges and blues and pinks and greens just to mix in a little bit with one another. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more. You can take a little bit of the phthalo blue too if you want. I'm going to add a little bit more white this time, and you can hear it and see that my brush is pretty dry. And that helps to give you that very fluffy cloud look, making them, you know, very see-through and thin, filtered. Okay, so now we're ready to start really coming in with some contrast. I love this part. This is really exciting for me. The first thing I want to do though is bring in some more of my neon rose here. So I'm going to just take my filbert brush again, my number 30. It has a little bit of water in it, and pull into that rose. And I'm just going to add a line below the middle mark of the canvas. So just find halfway down your canvas and then go a little bit lower than that. It's important for creating more perspective and interest in your paintings to go either below halfway or above when applying your horizon. Okay, then I'm going to get a little bit more water on my brush and the paint wiggle to make sure your brush is, the bristles are together. And then you're just going to place your brush like this, pull gently and flick up, pull down for the water reflection. I'm going to go on the other side, pull, flick, and these are beautiful transparent luminous paints, so they overlap nicely, creating gorgeous filters. You can add a little bit more around the sides here as well. Okay, the next color I'm going to be using is Phthalo blue. I'm going to take a little bit of my sap green as well. And I'm going to go right underneath, partially over that rose. And I'm going to come along the edge and just kind of scoop and pull a little bit along the edge in. Just going to build up our shadows. Okay, we'll come down again. Kind of scoop, need a little bit more blue in there. A bit more blue. Okay, now I'm going to start painting some trees. And I'm going to be using a number 16 filbert this time. And I'm going to take my blue, green, rose, just make a nice dark color. Okay, and I'll start adding some trees here, making them smaller and smaller. You can come right at the base here and just gently pull and flick off of it like we did with the larger filbert. Add a little bit of water to your brush to help flick that paint out. Okay, wiggle your brush, get that shape back. And then I'm going to come in, make that a little bit taller and start tapping in some branches. I love using filbert brushes for trees. I think it's just so much easier using a fan brush. You just have better looking branches and more control. Fan brushes can tend to look a little bit too messy, and not that messy is sometimes good in a painting, especially with certain things, but I know for beginners it can be frustrating. We're already hard enough on ourselves as it is when we're just beginning to paint. So make it easier for yourself and use a filbert brush, trust me. Okay, just tapping in, just using the side of my brush here to make smaller branches. Okay, same thing on the other side. pull and flick up. Make a few taller on the outer edges of the canvas to help create perspective. So they'll look closer to us, those bigger ones, and this will look farther away. So it's a gentle little push and tap with the tip of your brush. And then when you're painting bigger trees, you can push a little bit harder. But we're going to be covering these trees with snow, so don't worry too much about trying to make your trees look perfect. Okay, so I'm going to add some snow now, and I'm going to use this same brush. And I'm going to take a little bit of white. Because the paint is still wet, I just applied it. We're possibly going to pick up some of those colors along the way, and that's going to give us some softer tones, helping us build up to the final layers of the snow on our trees. So it can be beneficial. And just to show you how pretty it'll look, if you add a little bit of blue or green to your white and apply that for your layer of snow, which is just really, really pretty. I was hoping that my first layer of paint was wet enough that it would just automatically do this, but I think it's been drying, so I'm gonna just make the color that I want my snow to be, which is anything kind of minty and frosty looking. So you can use a little bit more blue or green if you want. Experiment, and it's very pretty with the background colors in this painting. Specifically why I chose this neon rose, because I know that it's complementary with a turquoisey color. And just little dabs here. I'm gonna take a little bit of water on my brush and just gently pull down for the reflection in the water. I'll do that over here. And then get a little bit of that minty color on your brush and just apply it for some snow along the bank. Just on the water's edge here. Okay, I'm gonna make up some more of that color. And you don't have to make it the same shade every time. It's probably pretty hard to do that. And tap, tap, tap. Now if you want to have some trees in the background, more in shadow or silhouette, that's fine too. That looks nice. Or you can just add like a little bit to them, or make them a little bit of a darker bluey green shade. I'm just going to add a little bit, just pop this up a little bit, bring a little bit of height in here by going up up and over gently. And I'll just come in with this one. I've got a little bit more on my brush, so I could use it for this big tree here. Again, you want to push a little harder for your bigger branches. And I like to have the branches, my winter ones, come right down because I feel like they're weighed down from all that snow. So I like to have them come right down to the ground here. I'll add another little bit for this guy back here. A little tap, tap, tap. Using less pressure because it's farther away. And then I'll just add a little wiggle back here to create even more perspective and feel like that just goes on for miles and miles and miles. So if you want to bring some height to the sides of your water or whatever you're working on, I'm just going to pick up a little bit more blue here. All you do is go up like that. So create height just by doing that instead of keeping it completely flat. And it's just up to you. It's whatever you want to do, whatever you prefer. I'm going to add a little bit of rose, make a purpley color here. And I'll add a little bit of water to my brush just to help release some of that paint. And I'm going to come underneath with my blue. I'll pick up a little bit of that rose too. And I'm going to create a little bit more depth. So it looks like there's snow sitting on the water. It gives you the height of the layers of snow on there. You just want to apply that underneath. So it works best if you add it underneath rather than on top. So just kind of pay attention to that because it can be a little confusing when you're just beginning. You think you need to add it everywhere. Just gonna add a few ripples in the water. Okay, I'm gonna rinse my brush out. And I'm gonna dry these trees off and then add a dry brush over them to make them look like they're more in the distance. Just before I do that, actually, I'm gonna add a little bit of white inside this cloud here, cloud area here. And I'm just wiggling my brush around. Okay, now that that's all dry, I can dry brush over with a little bit of white and make those trees look a little farther away and softer. So I'm just going to take my number 30 filbert with a little bit of white, and I'm going to apply it right here across the center. And just sort of crisscross over these trees. And see, instantly it just sets them back there. You can add it to the middle of your painting, not just the trees. So everything, whatever part you want your painting to be out of focus in, is where you can add it. Okay, I'm gonna rinse this brush out now. And just get a little bit more white and some of that blue and green, but more white ratio. So just tinting your white to make it a bit of that minty frosty color, again with a tiny bit of sap and the blue. And hold my brush like this, so slightly pointed up. I'm just going to add a few slopes to my snow. Okay, I'll mix up a little bit more. Do the same thing over here. They're going to get bigger, so longer and more exaggerated for the foreground. And then I'm going to just soften down here and create a little bit of a mist, a little bit of fog coming up. Okay, I'll take a little bit more white. Just wiggling it around. And then softening. And just a little bit more here, giving that a bit more of a foggy look too. And I'll add some up here as well. Okay, now it's time to paint a bridge. Then I'm going to be painting my bridge right here, and then I'm going to be adding a few trees in the foreground, and then a few little bushes using a mop brush for those. For my bridge, I'm going to be using my number 10 filbert brush, and I'm going to take a little bit of water on it with some orange, blue, green, and a little bit of that rose. I'm just going to pick up a little bit more of my phthalo blue. Just so I can make this bridge a little bit darker. Okay, so I'm going to start my bridge right here. It's going to end right about here. So we're going to pull, go up and over. Get just a little bit of water on my brush to help loosen that paint out. And then you should always just stand back, take a few minutes to stand back and look at your painting to see if you need to adjust it on either side or in the center. Okay, so I'm going to go up and down here, up and down here, and then once again in the middle. So with some more paint, up and down, across, down, across, so it's flat on the bottom. And we have those three entrances there, or holes. And then you can just paint around. And I'm just going to lift this one up a little bit. So it's as high as this one. The one in the middle can be a little bit bigger. I'm just going to gently pull down here for a reflection. And then side to side for the base. So you can choose how far you want to go down with the shadows and reflection in the water. I'm going to add a highlight on the inside. So we'll just do like a little scoop, scoop to make our bridge a little more 3D. So we're just seeing part of the inside. And then another thing you can do, so it depends on like what color you want your bridge to be. I'm just gonna add a little bit of the orange, the green, the blue. You can turn your brush and tap and dab to kind of make it look like it's a stone bridge. You don't have to add a lot of detail to create that. Okay, then I'm just going to take a little bit of white and those sunset colors. And I'm going to go just add a little bit of that to the top of the bridge. And then a little bit on the inside. Rinsing my brush out, I'm going to go back over to my original dark base, orange, blue, and green. And I'm going to make this flat right here. And then I'm going to come up and over and the same thing here, up and over. Okay, so now I'm going to add a few little bushes that are covered in a little bit of frost and snow, and all I'm going to be using for those is my 1-inch oval mop brush, and I'll just take a little bit of white tinted with a bit of blue and green, or you can just use straight white. I'm going to use more white than anything. My brush is dry. I can't emphasize that enough, how important it is. You don't want to get your brush wet, otherwise you're not going to have the nice poofy shape that you want. So we want to make this bridge look like it's more nestled in and tucked in there, and it's been there for a long time. So I'm going to have some bushes surrounding it and going over part of it, and I'll carry along down here and add a few more little bushes. And maybe another one right in here. First we have that fog down here, a little bit of mist and fog. So I'm just gonna kind of tap, tap, tap for the bushes and then make it look like they're kind of getting overlapped in the fog. And we can even add a little bit around our bridge too. I think that would look really pretty. I think I'll wait for that to dry a bit. The base we could add just a little bit. I'm going to come in with my size 0, just a mini filbert brush here, and I'm going to take a little bit of blue and white, a little bit of orange, make sort of a tan grayish color, taupe I guess. Not too much paint on my brush, and I'm just gonna kind of stagger and tap on some stones on this bridge. Nothing too detailed, just creating a little bit of stone on there. And to make it stand out even more, what you can do is take a liner brush and your really dark color, whatever dark color you want to use. And I like to place my pinky on the canvas to help steady my hand. And you can come around and roughly kind of just outline some of those stones on the bridge. I'm just using my green, blue, and orange. You need to have a lot of patience when working with a liner brush because it doesn't hold very much paint, so you need to reload a lot, and some people find it frustrating and they end up just pushing too hard and making a blob. Okay, so now I'm gonna paint at least one taller tree. And I'm gonna use my number 16 brush for that again, Filbert. I'm gonna make that dark color again. I'm gonna add a little bit more of my orange this time. Mix it until I get the nice dark fudgy brown color and then get it on the tip of my brush. And I'll choose an area here where I want to have a bigger tree, so maybe right here. Just gonna make it a little thicker here down at the base, and then pull I have another one down here, I think. I like to have 2 or 3 trees. I'm going to rinse my brush out. So it's just a little bit damp, and I'm just going to use the paint at the base of the tree to pull off and create a shadow with. And I'm also going to use this to pull out a few little branches, just little twiggy ones. Sometimes you get those little ones that don't have Look like they've been broken, right? So just little wiggle, wiggle, wiggles. Take a little bit more blue here and add a bit more of a shadow to this tree. And I'm going to take a little bit of white on the bottom of my brush. I'm going to turn it over. I'm just going to scrape up a little bit of snow going up the tree. I'm going to try this one again. There we go. You can add a little bit to your branches too if you want. Just a little bit of white. And I'm going to add a little bit of mist here by the bridge. A little bit more on the water. And I'm going to be using one of my liner brushes for some more branches. This one is a number 3. Get it wet. I'm going to use the same color I made, the dark fudgy brown. I'm adding water each time. I'm just going to wiggle a few branches out. I'll have one that kind of comes down here. Okay, time to come in with our first layer, and I'm going to take a little bit more of my light blue violet. My 1-inch oval knot brush. Tap, tap, tap. And just tap wherever you want to have a little bit of snow on your branches here. I don't know what kind of trees these are. Maybe they're some kind of birch tree. But this is the first layer we're adding, and then we can add just a little bit of this around the shadow area too. And down on the front here, this will look pretty in with our mixed in with our mist. A little bit over our bridge too. I'm just going to quickly go over to my little filbert brush and clean some of this, take some of this off, soften. And while I have this, I'm going to take some white and just start applying it to these smaller branches. I'm going to apply it quite heavily. I want these to really look like they're in the foreground. And I'm going to apply lots of snow to the branches as well. I really love painting snow and winter scenes. Let me know if you guys do too. And if you're scared, just go for it anyways. It's always easier than you think it's going to be. And if it's not at first, it will be the next time. And if not the next time, the time after that. You've got to just practice and keep going. Every time you paint, every brush stroke you make, you're learning and getting better and better and better. Add a little bit of snow. Up here on the bridge. Now the snow could be coming down the side of the bridge too. You could have little icicles. Have a little bit of snow at the base here too. But I'm going to go back over to another mop brush. This one is an angle mop brush. I'm only taking this because I realized I put my mop brush I was using before in the water, so the shape is ruined. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm just going to take some white now. And I'm going to start applying it to my treetops. Tap, tap, tap. Still leaving a little bit of that blue exposed. I'll just add a little bit right there as well. You can make it look like there's a few little icicles hanging if you want, just by gently pulling down like that. Dab a little bit more here along the water's edge. And with that, I'm going to call this painting done. Feels complete, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this one too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye!